With that being said, are you ready for an extra hour of sleep this weekend? The clocks fall back at 2 a.m. on Sunday, and while the extra hour added to your weekend might seem like a good thing, it may not be the case when it goes to feeling well rested. So sleep expert Amanda Jewson joins us this morning once again to help us tackle the time change. I hope you're starting off with some good news for us.
I am always. Look, I always pepper a little bit of sunshine into the dreariness of our days. But, you're right. We are headed into time change, which, this is the one everyone loves. We're falling back. That means we get an extra hour of sleep in the morning. And who doesn't love that? But I'm sure everyone has eyeballs. You can see outside, it's quite dark in the morning, and we have darkness for a long time. That can mean some dreariness in the morning. I always suggest a sunrise alarm clock. I don't know if you've heard of these, but they look like globes, and they literally mimic the sun rising in the morning. It's going to catch you in the lightest part of your sleep. And there's a lot of research to back that it makes you wake up feeling refreshed and alert, which we love. Some early rising babies. So if you have a baby and they love to get up with the sun, the decrease of sun can actually push your baby's wake time, which would be amazing if you have a little one, right?
I have friends who are new parents. That would sound very nice for them, that's for sure. So is this time change just as bad for sleep as the springtime change, would you say?
Well, you know what? The springtime change is actually quite brutal on the body because we lose an hour and we don't like that. And on top of that, we have to go to bed earlier. So it's taken me, I've done this a long time. I think I'm just understanding time change now. But when we say fall back, we assume we go to bed earlier because our clocks change. But in actuality, we go to bed later, which our bodies like. So when we think about, let's say you go to bed at 10 p.m. right now, your 10 p.m. falls back, and next week that's going to be at 9 p.m. So at 9 p.m., you're going to feel pooped. We always say that the first day of time change, you feel like the day is going and going and going and going. It's because everything's been pushed back later. So in some ways, you're going to feel a little bit more tired, but in other ways, your body kind of likes it and will respond appropriately.
Which is nice, I will say. I have a hard time falling asleep anyway, so at least if it's a little bit darker earlier, maybe that will help with the adjustment. How long does it take somebody to adjust? Do you know?
Yeah, these can be tough times, anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. However, I mean, like I said, most adults, we do okay with this one. The tricky bit is our little kiddos. So I talked about how young babies who don't necessarily have the concept of like, I want to get up and do something amazing, they might benefit. But our toddlers and preschoolers, they might actually struggle because they didn't get the memo that they should sleep later. So let's say your child gets up at around 6 a.m. right now. Next week, that is going to be 5 a.m., which is horrible. I'm sorry I said that number. But you might want to invest in an okay to wait clock. These are visual clocks that turn a certain color or make a certain sound when it's okay for your child to get out of their bed. If you have an older child, a simple basic alarm clock telling them, we don't get out of bed until 6 or 7, whatever your number is, should be appropriate, and you can start implementing that this weekend.
Okay, so should we start, I know the time change is on Saturday to Sunday, and sometimes people do the spring ahead, they start maybe even a day or two beforehand just to get their body used to it. Would that apply for the fall back?
I think especially if you have young children, I think it's okay to start putting them to bed later because they might struggle with the later times. Remember, our bodies are smart, that we do things, we eat at certain times, we go to bed at certain times. So when we shift that, we want to be able to do that in sort of an easy way, especially for our kids. So if your child is going to bed at 7 or 8, you're going to want to push them anywhere from 7:15 to 7:30 until they're going to bed without much crankiness or fuss.
Any advice for how to best prepare? I know you talked about the light, the clock, anything else? I sleep with an eye mask, so those things don't apply to me. I will say it. I sleep like I'm a diva. I need all the darkness. I have blackout curtains. Like I go all the 9 yards. But, I mean, for somebody not like me, what would you say?
Well, when we go to bed a little bit later and we may not be able to sleep in, which happens for some folks for a little bit of time, you might feel a little bit tired and restless. There's a lot of good evidence to suggest going outside during the daytime. I know this sounds so basic, but literally the sunlight being in your eyes can help regulate your body clock. This means going outside during the day, doing some physical activity, and going to bed and keeping your space nice and dark. So you're doing all the right things for you, Anna. And then if you are still feeling really rough and tired, you might want to implement a 20-minute nap, nothing longer. So we don't want to get into those deep stages of sleep. So if someone wakes you up in the middle of the nap, I'm sure we've all had this, and you feel like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? It's because you're being woken in a very deep spot of your sleep. Wake before you get to that part in your sleep cycle, and you should feel nice, refreshed, and alert. And make sure that you are going to bed and waking up at the same times every day. That is really going to help regulate your whole circadian rhythm.
Oh, okay. This is me fidgeting because I need to get better at going to bed at the same time every night. I do get up at the same time every morning. Just going to bed is not the thing. And I take longer than 20-minute naps. So I'm doing everything wrong in some cases. So I need to improve. And this is why you are joining us this morning to help us. Thank you, Amanda.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That was sleep expert Amanda Jewson joining us this morning with advice on how to handle the rollback, falling back with that extra hour of sleep.
I got your steaks.